Good morning and welcome back to Macedon Ranges Voice, talking with Jazz. So, you've been here a while. Well, the maximum time you could have been here is 30 days. Unless, of course, you're watching this in the distant future, but yes, we've only been going for 30 days. So, 30 days ago, let's call it 31, because I actually started the group on a Sunday and made a big mistake with the way it was set up, and it didn't quite work. And because there's a few settings that are quite hard to work out on Facebook, because Facebook is quite difficult. So in that 30, let's call it 30 days, because the real group that you're part of was 30 days ago. So in that time, we've interviewed more counsellors than I thought we would. We interviewed the people that were listed on the VEC website first. So they were the people that had already lodged their nominations and so on. So we could reach out to them very easily. And then there was a rush of people who actually then came in, and they were. Then I was in a kind of hurry to get them all done. And so in that time, we've been able to build up from 0 members. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and Penny Rice, who I often refer to as Wing Woman, in a sort of humorous way. And so she infiltrated the organisation very early on when she saw that I'd come up with this idea. Now, the idea was to try and get as many people involved in the election, because I was involved 4 years ago as a candidate, and the main reason I did that was to try and learn about the election and to try and learn about local politics, because I'd been living in the Ranges for probably 10 years at that point. And every 4 years, I'd got a ballot paper and had no idea what I was doing with it. I'm pretty sure I was one of these people who thought they were smart. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, I sort of probably maybe started with 1, and then went down to the bottom and did 2, and then the second one and 3. So, if you think you're smart, you're not. It's just a common thing to do, apparently, because common things do occur commonly. So there's been some really sort of interesting things that have bubbled out from doing this. One is obviously the invention of the character, which we called the Voice, and he sort of started he was doing the interviews, or it was me obviously, but it was I wanted him to be a character that was able to get away with a little bit more than me, and he was able to also present himself as someone who was a little bit naive about how councils work, local government works, and ask some of the, I guess, I don't know whether I consider them as dumb questions, because at the time but they really were sort of the dumb questions about things like, why don't you ask the councillors about the NBN, which is not completely beyond their remit, but it's not exactly what they do. Okay, it's not really the council's job, just quietly. I hope everyone realises that by now. But that was part of my quest, was to sort of introduce people to the boundaries of what the council does. And also then to introduce the people and get people involved and interested in who the councillors were, so they wouldn't do stupid donkey votes like I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and because it's quite important who your councillors are, and it's not related to the NBN specifically anyway. And it's got a lot more to do with your bins. But also, in this council election, we were looking at what is going to be an ongoing and continuous thing, where people who are buying large tracts of land, want to convert them into suburbs and make billions of dollars. Now, I've got no problem with people making billions of dollars, but if they want to do it at the expense of the beautiful Macedon Ranges, and to give us suburbia where we once had fields of green grass and cows, then I have a big problem with that, and I think you probably should too. You should be thinking about it. Well, and I didn't want to come out with that sort of as soon as the campaign started. I did in my mind come out with that. And my original plan was not to do this sort of mildly entertaining version of what ended up happening. My original idea was more of a sort of sledgehammer approach, and was just to say, if you don't vote for these people, your firstborn child will be removed from your family, or something ridiculous like that. So I really just wanted to say there were probably better candidates than there were other candidates that weren't that good. I had no real way of empirically doing that. There was actually other groups that were far more equipped and knew more about it than I did. I actually didn't know a great deal about the candidates. The groups that I was talking about are the Forum for Democratic Renewal. Such a mouthful of a name. Who knows what it means? And I've known about them for a while. And they did a candidate assessment last election, and they actually gave me a green light, which helped me not at all, because I came dead last. So, thanks for that, guys. And they this year again, this election again, I should say, were able to interview all the candidates that responded to their request for interviews. And of course, being 2020, they did it over Zoom. They couldn't do it in person last time they did it in person. And it was very interesting. I had some of those videos shared with me because I was about to make contact with those interviewees, and I was trying to sort of get details about them and all that sort of stuff. So, and the other group that was very is far more earnest, and I actually was very, very keen to get on the channel and to try and get their far more intellectual approach to assessing candidates, and that was the Macedon Ranges Residents Association. And they were the first people I called. So I called. I called their commandant or whatever. Don't know what the title is. And she sort of said, I'd have to refer it back to the committee. And I sort of thought, well, this is media. This is, we're giving you a platform. It's not the other way around. But anyway, they said no, which was kind of weird. So, after much consideration or something, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, whatever. That's fine. I actually really wanted them on, so I didn't know how to get them on. So that's why in the last week of the campaign, I launched the Macedon Ranges Voice website, which was actually my original strategy, which was to do a how to vote card. But again, I don't have the facility to actually make a how to vote card. I don't know what's what. So I didn't want to get involved in all that in-depth stuff either. That's just not my thing. I'm more of a media guy. And so I changed the strategy for the Macedon Ranges Votes from being sort of how to vote to actually pulling together all of the candidate assessments. So, if you're not aware, basically these candidate assessments are all based on these interviews that these organisations do. So there was also one really sort of strange event, which was that there were these guys from Mornington who more or less represent property developers or property development interests. I don't know. They don't actually admit that that's what they are there for, but if you kind of read between the lines on their website, that's what they're up to, and they want to, I suspect, they have contacted some of the candidates privately and sort of said, would you, be, I don't know, essentially be corrupt or vote in favour of doing things. I'm not accusing them of anything, but that's kind of how I speculate how it's going to go. Or how they thought it was going to go. But they made this kind of amazingly stupid error where they couldn't get, I guess they couldn't get someone to authorise their how to vote material, their candidate assessment from the Macedon Ranges. So they got someone from Mornington to do it, which is hilarious because it just kind of, that's not what local people want. They don't care what someone in Mornington... I mean, it might be in the best interests of a couple of people who are going to become billionaires in the Macedon Ranges, but they're only a couple of people. Let's call them 5 votes. So who cares about those people? They're not a significant percentage. We won't all benefit from... No, we won't. We'll actually all not benefit from development. So that's... and I'm not totally against development, but I guess what the type of development that they're talking about is what we would call urban sprawl. And I don't think there's anybody in the Macedon Ranges that wants urban sprawl. I don't think we want another big suburb going ahead. There are various people who are sort of dead against this, and then there are other people who are more for what they call infill development, where the town boundaries remain the same. There's a move upwards, so sort of medium density or something like that. Now that's sort of going to be the battle in the future. I think the battleground will be over maintaining town boundaries and at the same time how we deal with what will almost certainly be a people wanting to move to the ranges. I mean, it is obviously the best place to live in the world, and so we want to keep it that way, right? I'm sure you do. So coming on the journey with me and Penny was I think 460 people. We got to 462 and then suddenly 2 people give us. So every now and then someone just pisses off. I don't know why. They probably hate my videos that I do where I put on a silly American accent. But that's a really important thing to do for me because I see that as part of the lighter side of it as well. Because there is obviously a very serious side. But you kind of can't bash people over the head with the politics of it or the importance of it or we've had such a hell of a year where everything's gone upside down. Doing a silly American accent and telling anecdotes from my life and my sort of random thoughts was really just about giving a I see it as like a newspaper. Okay, so newspapers in the olden days when I don't get newspapers, but people do. I mean, my parents just get it online now. But anyway, newspapers would have the news at the front and sports somewhere in the back, and then there would be the cartoons. So me talking in a funny accent with and talking about the Copenhagen of the Macedon Ranges and all that sort of rubbish. Was really just the cartoons, and if people tuned in or tuned out or, whatever, I don't really care. So I haven't decided what to do with that side of it either. There has actually been, it is a quite well received segment within the whole Voice, Macedon Ranges Voice platform. So I wanted to get to the sort of the meat and potatoes of what we did and what we achieved. Look, I'm a media professional. I do understand, a lot about media. Mind you, I only just worked out how to get HD recording last week, but earlier this week. But it took me half a day, and I knew how to do it, but it just took me half a day. I had to look it up online. I had to go, oh, what's this? And I didn't have half a day during the campaign. I was literally trying to get 2 interviews done a day and then cut and out so that there'd be one out by the end of the day and then one the next morning, and then again start recording again. So again, I can't remember how many we did. It felt like 9 or 10, or maybe it was maybe 10, 11. So and there was one of the other things that sort of came out of doing those interviews was that there was this, and this is also this sort of thing about we've got this access to this platform and this amazing technology, and you know it really only worked because it was COVID and because a lot of things were taken away. There weren't town hall meetings and or cups of tea or whatever used to happen. Then it used to happen. There used to be sort of like, you know, bits of paper up saying come over to the town hall and meet the candidate and all that sort of stuff. Well, that's what I wanted to replace. That I wanted to actually provide that function in an interesting and entertaining way. And a lot of people did find it entertaining. And all the candidates were given the same pep talk, which, included make sure you say what you want to say. You know, make sure you... Sorry, the screen just went black there. Make sure you get out in this interview what you really want to say. So it wasn't really like an interview. I'm not Lee Sales. I'm not sort of going to probe them and, you know, trying to get them on gotcha moments and all that sort of stuff. I know everyone wanted me to do that. Oh, make them commit to doing something. No, that's not what it's about. You can't make people commit. There's actually rules against it, guys. Duh. Anyway, that's kind of, you know, about learning. So there's all this learning that we needed to do. Everybody, you know, me included. I didn't know about HD, right? And I didn't know about Facebook groups. I've done Facebook pages, and and I understand the basics of media and fake news and all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that that was pulled out whilst trying to get people to do interviews was that there were people who are candidates who were not prepared to do Zoom interviews and wanted to do phone interviews or couldn't use Zoom. Now, I got criticised for this, and I understand the criticism, and the criticism is sort of goes along the lines of this. You're expecting everyone to have the same level of media savvy and to have an up-to-date mobile phone or computer. And you're just sort of discriminating against people because they may be older or whatever. You know, I mean, well, yes, sorry guys, I am. Because this is 2020. This is the era where we need to be able to communicate using the latest and the greatest pieces of technology and the stuff that's available and the stuff that is for free. You know, 90% of this stuff is for free. I bought this computer, I think 2010. It's a 2010 model. It's as old as the hills. I've got a hand-me-down camera, you know. I do have a phone, which is a modern phone, but I think it's modern because it's 4 years old, right? So what's going on there? So I like to say that I built, with Penny, Macedon Ranges Voice for $12.99, plus my time, plus Penny's time. What's my time worth? Well, who knows? Nothing, maybe. But access to technology is not about money. And access to using communications is not about money. And it is about your ability to learn. So for me, if a candidate comes and says, oh, I can't use Zoom because my computer's too old, or I don't have a good phone and all that, I'm like, well, I don't want to vote for you. And I don't think the ratepayers of Macedon Ranges should vote for you either. Quite simply. I mean, I can say this now because the election's over, right? So you can kind of work that out by just looking at the people who didn't get interviews. They were the people who didn't want to do it, couldn't do it, didn't want to work out how to do it. I got Graham Hackett on, and he was reluctant. He said, I can't use Zoom. And I said, mate, do this, press this button, do that. It was as easy as pie. Within half an hour, we were doing an interview, and he got it going on his phone. It was not a problem. It was a very simple and easy interview, you know, for him, and it worked, right? So the argument that we should vote for people who can't use Zoom is like, that's where I kind of draw the line, guys. Sorry. And the idea then came out that there were people who thought I should do a better job. Now, if you've got $12.99, that's $12.99, not $1,200. No, $12.99. You can also do your own voice, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You call it whatever you want to do. I don't care. But that's the whole point. It's the access to this technology, the access to this communication platform, to doing what's available. Cost is not a problem, and even knowing how to do it is not a problem, because the first thing I did on Sunday morning when I decided, hey, I'm going to make a group, I went onto YouTube and I said, how to make a Facebook group. Bang. Oh, look, there's a video there. I'm not going to sit and read a long explanation that Facebook wrote. I'm going to watch a video which some nice woman from, Detroit has made a video, and she's saying, do you want to start a Facebook group? Yeah, sure. And I watched it, and it was interesting. It was fun, and she was kind of, entertaining. And I thought, wow, there's something to this, right? Entertainment plus information, right? So that sort of, and then, how do I get this to work in the group? How do I link to different topics together? Create hashtags, whatever. So everything, it's just up to you asking the questions, because the answers are all there. But you do need $12.99 to buy the domain name. But I haven't even really used the domain name. So the domain name, which is MacedonRangesVoice.com, at the moment, if you just do it, it just goes straight to the Facebook group. So, it probably was a waste of $12.99, which is quite funny. So now the votes have all been cast, the guns have fallen silent, hopefully. There will be tears, I can tell you right now. It is going to be a bloody mess. There's going to be the West, who knows, the South, again, it could be anyone's. I saw a lot of very determined campaigns. I saw in the South, I'm talking about. I saw a lot of very hard-working people doing stuff in the South. I also saw a lot of people wasting money. So I was sort of have a bit of a chuckle at that because again, this platform, $12.99. And then other people wasting money as well. People who the traffic light people, a forum for democratic renewal. Now this will be a debate, I'm sure, that will go on forever, whether you should have a Facebook group and try and engage people, or whether you should have put a piece of paper in the letterboxes. I don't know. It's an ongoing thing. I suspect you should do both. Simply. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, the amount of effort that people put in, I don't know whether effort and money will result in the votes. It'll become in the wash up. I think the East is actually fairly, even though I only had one candidate, Graham Hackett, no, big one, Jeff Neal, who came forward for an interview in the East, and it was strange because I had these other two candidates who I spoke to. Hello, how you going? Any chance we can do an interview today? I'm free. Never really got back to me. I don't know. It just didn't work out, and it would have been. But I sort of felt that they were sort of feeling fairly confident. And that maybe that they didn't really need to try that hard, which was probably a mistake. But we'll see. We will see, you see. And whereas in the West, I just think there are so many good candidates. You sort of can't go wrong in the West, or maybe you can actually. But, if you followed the guides, you can certainly see what's happening in the West. And, I have to sort of give a shout out to Hayden, who I think was one of the special candidates and special interviews as well. He just did brilliantly and fought. He fought along the whole thing, and he had a T-shirt. Nobody else had T-shirts. I didn't get my free one, unfortunately. Anyway, well, so I know it's been a bit different. I didn't have any anecdotes, but it's just this is the end of the campaign discussion. We will have an end of voting or end of results discussion. I'd love to have that with somebody else, where we can actually talk over what we think happened. So if you're that person, maybe, I don't know, maybe someone who's not crying at the end of it, right? I don't really want to have someone on whose candidate lost. So it's gonna have to be someone who had a happy experience with this election, because it tears people apart, right? The whole, you put a lot of passion into it. I spoke to almost all the candidates, and there's a bit of a que sera moment in one, and then there's the I've got to win, I have to win, I've got the ducks all lined up, everything's going to work for me kind of thing. And then there's the hopeful wannabes, and then there's the I just thought I'd give it a bash because it looked like there was nobody else going to line up for nomination type candidates. I'm not naming any names. You can work that one out. And people then throughout the campaign, candidates I'm talking about, then go from one side to the next, which is I'm going to win, I'm prepared to be a councillor. Oh no, I don't really. Oh, do I really want to be a councillor? It's a lot of work. It's not funny, ha ha ha. Or then they go to I'm going to lose and I'm going to be humiliated, publicly humiliated. Literally, people didn't like you. Now, it kind of doesn't get really much worse than that, does it? You not only, it's a double-edged sword. It's the classic double-edged sword. You not only get the sort of public humiliation, you also don't get the job, right? So you're not only you're sort of unemployed, and you are publicly humiliated about not being employed. So the rest of us do get to have a good bit of a chuckle about that. We'll try not to, though, will we? We'll all whatever, gird our loins. So I think we probably should leave it there. I'm being told by YouTube/Facebook, and this is not a joke. This is their algorithm talking to me. So the algorithm's actually saying I need to make longer videos. I mean, yeah. So that's not. I don't know whether that's good for. They say it's good for you. I don't know. They say it's good for their algorithm. Like, they don't say it like that. They just say if you want to get more people viewing your videos, you've got to make them longer. And it's like, really? I suspect it's because you just want to shove advertising in the middle of it. So anyway, this is one of the long form. I do have a couple of more anecdote videos that are actually going to be really quite long, that I've been planning for a while. So that's why I'm not killing off the Talking with Jazz character, but I might tame the accent somewhat, but not the mannerism, if you get my drift. And so look forward to you enjoying this Saturday. Hopefully everyone who's been involved in the campaign can now be resting. I know that some people have already started their next thing, which is just madness. So good luck, and why don't you have a great day.